you're someone who's faced some giants. I've heard your story. I don't know if these people have. Tell us about the giant that you faced when you were young. That maybe is the one that started out with.
Yeah. My very first giant that I faced in my life was the environment that I grew up in. I grew up in where the norm was drugs and alcohol, not only in my home, but throughout my neighborhood, my peers, in my schools. That's how everyone lived. That was the normal way of life. And so that was the first giant that I believe was a stronghold in my life. And through the grace of God, not to say that I was never drawn into that, because I was. During a teenager, I did do narcotics and things to that extent. But when I looked back on it, I realized that, through God's grace, He gave me a child. And from the moment I had that child, I can honestly say I have not used a narcotic since then. And I think He just knew that I went through that time in my life, and that taught me a lesson about who or what I did not want to be, not only for myself, but for my child.
All right. And so quite an obstacle to overcome, quite a giant when everybody around you is, and the whole environment around you is a certain way. It's hard to overcome that. You have. But there's been another giant that makes that one look small. And that's been here more recent. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, on September 21st of 2008, God took my daughter home. That's her heaven date.
How old was Milani, your daughter, when she died?
She was 18 and a half.
Yeah. And that wasn't the only loss that you experienced. There was another loss at the same time.
She was pregnant, ready to deliver, and I also lost my grandson that day too.
Yeah. So tremendous giant in your life. Tell us, how has that loss been a giant? Maybe we understand that, but how has it impacted you?
It's impacted my whole life. My life has changed from that day on. It's almost like you have to re-identify yourself. So used to being Milani's mom, and I was a single mom for a very long time, so she definitely was the center of my world. And I'm somebody else now.
Yeah. So when Milani was taken from you, what did that feel like? Did it feel like that was a giant that you were ever going to be able to overcome?
No. Especially during that first, moments, you're totally drained. You just feel like a big boulder fell on you and smashed you, and you're never going to recover from it. You have really no emotion except for anger. A lot of anger, a lot of whys, a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas, things to that extent, yeah.
Okay, then as you're facing that giant, I know that, we hear this story, and it's supposed to happen that the giant just falls over and you slay it. And have there been some moments like that, though? Have there been some moments where you feel like this giant's been killed?
I don't want to say killed. I want to say arrested. There are moments when that I feel like, I can take on the world today. I'm standing on top of the mountain. I can see God's glory everywhere. And then there's other days where, I don't even want to get out of bed. So sometimes it's a day-by-day thing. It might be a week-by-week thing. It might be a moment-by-moment thing. It comes and goes, and it really depends on me when I choose to allow the devil's as real as God. Plain and simple as that. That is a lesson that I have really learned from this experience, that He has as much power over you as you allow Him to have. Just the same way with God. You can live by the Word and have strength in every aspect of your life as long as you let God in your life. And the devil works the same way.
So this idea that we might kill the giant once and it's gone, hasn't been your reality. You've had to face that giant many times. What kind of encouragement can you give to people here who maybe are facing a giant and they thought they were just going to knock it out once and be done, and yet it doesn't always work that way?
My best advice would be is really look around, because God has prepared you for this giant in your life, whether it be through the church you attend, the people he has surrounded with you, the different tribulations that you've went through your life and the lessons that you've learned from those. In my situation, he had my whole surroundings prepared for this. He sent me the man I was eventually going to marry. I have a stepson that's a wonderful stepson. I have this church, this community, and I have Christian soldiers that are just, I have 2 generals actually. But they just, whenever I'm down or whatever, I always have someone there that can lift me up. And if they're not available at the time that I need, the only thing that really, really helps me is prayer and meditation. And it may take 5 minutes, it may take an hour, it may take my whole morning. But through prayer and meditation, I can overcome that.
All right. Well, Melissa, we just want to thank you for your courage in facing that giant each and every day, and your willingness to share that with us here this morning, because I know that's going to lift somebody up. Would you just tell Melissa how much we appreciate her today?